When I start the conversation with people about the importance of creating healthy habits and routines, it is often met with some rendition of, yeah, I know, that all makes sense. But you know what? I just don't have the time or energy right now to be making any big life changes. And in response to that, I will always say this. I get it. You're busy. You've got a lot going on. But what if I told you that by changing only 2% of your day, you will see a significant improvement in your mood, energy levels, relationships, and overall productivity? This grand and declarative sales pitch is usually met with a puzzled look, followed by a question about that whole 2% thing. So here's a breakdown of this 2% proclamation. It is my belief, dare I say it's a fact, that if someone changes only 2% of their day, it will positively impact all aspects of their life. But this isn't just any 2% of the day. The 2% I'm referring to is made up of the start of each day and the end of each day. Okay, so prepare to have your minds blown with the mathematics I'm about to do. Did you know that 15 minutes plus 15 minutes equals 30 minutes? Yeah, that's right. No need to bust out a calculator. I'll be your guide through this mathematical maze of amazement. And even more mind-blowing than that, get this, 30 minutes is only 2% of your day. I don't know about you, but I was actually shocked by this math. Not shocked by the 15 plus 15 equals 30 part, but instead the fact that 30 minutes is only 2% of your day. Now granted, I've never been all that good at math, but I thought for sure 30 minutes would make up more than 2% of your day. Maybe that's just me. But the reason why I got so excited about this math is because it can provide a percentage-based perspective shift for those of us who tend to use the old, I just don't have the time line of justification. Cool, got it. You're super busy. The question becomes, do you have 2%? We are all creatures of a day. Human beings are momentum mammals. And when someone starts the day strong and ends the day strong, the things known as the morning, afternoon, and evening, they tend to go a lot better. So diving in, let's start by looking at the last 15 minutes of the day. I recommend that people spend the last 15 minutes of every day setting up their tomorrow self for success. And here's a little fun brain science on why so many of us struggle to do this. Research shows that our brains, in a way, think that our future selves are actually an entirely different person. It's true. Dr. Hal Hirschfield, who's a psychologist at UCLA, he did these MRI scans of people's brains as they were instructed to think about and describe their present selves, then their future selves, and then finally, they were instructed to think about and describe a celebrity. Matt Damon and Natalie Portman, to be specific. But what the brain scans showed was that people use different parts of their brain when they're describing their present self than they do when describing their future self. And get this, the scan showed that the brain activity that occurs when people describe their future selves, it's quite similar to the activity that shows up in their brain when they were asked to describe a celebrity that they've never met. I hope this little neural nugget of information provides you with a better understanding of why you may procrastinate. It makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense to delay a difficult task when your brain, in a way, thinks that future you isn't actually you. So after I came across this present self, future self study a few months ago, it just so happened that I had a buddy coming to town to stay with me the following day. So on the night prior to his arrival, what I did was I ran to the market to get some of his favorite foods and beverages so I could stock the fridge with things he likes. I even picked up a copy of his favorite newspaper. And when I got home, I headed into the guest bedroom. And there I made the bed. I busted out those useless decorative pillows, and I covered the entire bedroom in a thick mist of Febreze extra strength. That's the diesel fuel of funk removal, if you ask me. After that, I then headed into the guest bathroom, where I cleaned that up, got out the good towels, set out some toiletries that I yoinked from a Holiday Inn Express. I even took a minute to do a little TP origami by making that mysterious and wonderful V that you'll see in hotel bathrooms. And when I finished with all those thoughtful preparations, I realized something. I treat my house guests way better than I do my future self. So that night, after reading that study and having this house guest realization, I decided that because research shows that my brain, in a way, thinks that tomorrow me isn't really me, I was just going to run with this idea and pretend that tomorrow me is actually a different person. He's a house guest, and he's someone I care about. And because I care about this person, I'm going to spend the last few minutes of every day setting him up for a relaxed, predictable, and productive morning. And to go next level with this, I thought it'd be a good idea to give my tomorrow self a name. My tomorrow self's name is Tick. Get it? Tomorrow, Nick, Tick. Super creative, I know. So what I do, and I recommend you give it a try if you're not already doing something like this. Decide to spend the last 15 minutes of each day setting up your tomorrow self for success. And to provide some possible ideas of what you could do with this last 15, here's a quick breakdown of what I do for Tick on a nightly basis. First thing I do for old Tick is I pack him a lunch and put it in the fridge so he can just grab and go in the morning. I then locate everything else Tick may need the following day and I set it up against the front door. After that, I'll look at his schedule for tomorrow so he doesn't have to wake up panicked when thinking about what the day has in store. Next, I put his clothes out for the next day and I stack Tick's clothes in the order that he puts them on. I do this because Tick can be a bit of a stumbling, fumbling fool first thing in the morning. And a real solid I do for Tick, I put his socks in his shoes. He really appreciates that one. Now, I realize that many of you may already be doing things like this, but if you aren't, I cannot tell you how big of a difference it will make in your life. So many of us had just gotten used to a panicked and reactive relationship with our mornings. The good news is that a few minutes at the end of each day will go a long way to avoiding the losing streak that so many of us start our days with. An example of a losing streak that someone may start their day with could look like this. You hit the snooze once, twice, thrice, so now you're running late. You then stumble around trying to locate what you need for the day, clouded and confused in your cognition, all the while stressed and anxious about the day that awaits. And this scattered and frustrated energy drains your emotional battery, even before you get to the people, places, and things that may require the best from your brain and body. If you can relate to this alarmed and anxious AM experience, try creating a last 15 that will serve tomorrow you, whatever you choose to name that person. And please do name that person. I know it sounds silly, but it actually works, and I'm sure you'll come up with something a little more creative than Tick. Okay, so the biggest benefit that will arrive from this last 15 routine is that you'll now be able to dedicate the first 15 minutes of the following day to intentional activities that will serve you, ground you, and allow you to respond to the day instead of just react to it. And when it comes to that first 15, I recommend creating what I call a starting 5. I know, lots of numbers, and I apologize if you're not a big sports fan because I tend to use a lot of sports related stuff, but back to it. The starting 5 is a process of selecting 5 activities that you will do every morning to get you started on a win streak so that you can begin the day with a little morning momentum. And here are just a few possible activities you may want to consider for that starting 5. Get out of bed without hitting the snooze. The degree of difficulty on that one's high, but it's a game changer. Drink a glass of water, do a breathing exercise, open the blinds, water a plant, make your bed, eat a healthy breakfast, walk the dog, say out loud or write down 3 things you're grateful for, end your shower with some cold water. Check out Wim Hof on that one if you're interested. Do a quick meditation, do some push-ups, a few pull-ups maybe, a little yoga, stretch, smile. Those are just a few ideas. No need to limit yourself to the things I listed. But whatever activities you land on, I recommend doing the same ones in the exact same sequence each and every morning. So if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, I should probably stop being such an inconsiderate jerk to my future self.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
Alright, so if you can relate to any of this, and you aren't already highly structured when it comes to your daily starts and finishes, I am confident in saying this. If you choose to focus on and change only 2% of your day, you will see and experience even greater percentage gains when it comes to your positivity and productivity. And to be honest, the routines I described, sometimes they don't even take 30 minutes. Maybe you're more of a 1% fan.
I see you're drinking 1%.
If that's the case, dedicate the first and last 7 minutes of each day to this effort. To wrap this up, I'm going to read you one of the cheesiest things I've ever written. And to make it even more cringeworthy, I'm going to read it with like a awful announcer voice. So here goes. This should be fun. Okay. It's totally fine that you don't have the time, but bear in mind that your stress may be a sign that you need to define and streamline your day's finish line to allow for an incline into that AM sunshine. And with this design, your baseline may realign with the heights of the Ponderosa Pine, your city skyline, or leave you feeling like you're floating on cloud 9. I am truly sorry for this. I hope I didn't lose you there at the end and have you thinking.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
But if that is your take, I'm gonna have to side with Kip on this one.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
Until next time.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?